Hello and welcome to my channel, in which we speak about spiritual growth, personal development, and how we can live our best lives. And in today's video, I want to cover how can we free up more energy. Do you ever feel like you just don't have enough energy for the things that you really want to be doing in your life? And have you been wondering, how can I have more energy for these really important things? I want to be able to do them. Well, hopefully this video will help uncover a few cool things that you can do for yourself to be able to move forward with more energy, being able to focus on your personal projects in the way that you want to focus on them. So, what I would love to start with is how we live in a universe which has certain laws, and one of these laws is the law of gender according to the Hermetic principles. And what it means is that we have the yin and the yang energies, the feminine and the masculine energies. And what they are two different types of energies that work together in a beautiful balance. And so we get to respect that we want to embody both of these energies, not always equally, but in general have a good balance of these energies to be able to live the healthiest kind of lives, to be able to have the most energy available to us, and to be able to live the good life while honoring these two energies and working with them in the best way that we can. So we're very familiar, especially in the West and in our society, we're very familiar with the masculine energy. And with this energy of you go out and get it, you go for it, you push, this like creation energy in the sense of going out and doing the thing. And we are less familiar with the feminine energy of resting, of taking a step back, of allowing, of opening to allow. And the big one here, which I'd like to explore in this video today, is rest. How can we create more energy for ourselves by resting in the way that serves us the most, that we then have the energy again to be able to put into what is important to us? So I learned recently that there are 5 different types of rest that we can define. And one very obvious one, which I think we all know about, is physical rest. Then there is emotional rest, there is mental rest, there is spiritual rest, and there is social rest. And so I think we all are familiar with physical rest, what we can do for that, having good sleep. Something that we can support ourselves with in having good sleep is making sure we get daylight on our face every morning, as soon as we can after waking up. And even if the sun is behind the clouds, we can still receive what is needed from the sun to be able to reset our chemicals in our body. So when it is overcast, we want to be 10 minutes, when we're having the daylight on our face for 10 minutes in the morning. And when it's full sunshine, then 5 minutes is enough. And what this does, it resets the melatonin, the chemical which is responsible for having a healthy wake and sleep cycle. It resets it, so when the evening comes and we start winding down, we start to feel sleepy, and then we're ready to go to sleep once we lie down and want to do so. So that's a really awesome way that we can honor physical rest in such a beautiful sense. And then emotional rest. When I came across this was such a breakthrough for me, because as someone who is obsessed with personal development and who always wants to be doing my best, working on myself, being the best version of myself, it also means doing a lot of shadow work, looking at emotions, what's going on with the emotions, maybe we're going into the past, seeing what happened in the past, which can also bring up some old wounds and really open up, not open up the wounds, but uncover them so we can work with them and transmute that wounding kind of energy into a different energy. So taking emotional rest, it's so beautiful, because what we get to do is we get to take a step back from looking at our emotions. Maybe we love to journal every day and speak about our emotions in our journal. Maybe for some days we don't have to do that. We can journal in a different way. We can do scripting, like I mentioned or was speaking about in my previous video that you can check out, which is a different type of writing and getting in tune with different frequencies. So yeah, there's so many different ways that we can journal. It doesn't always have to be kind of looking at our emotions and things like this. And also just recognizing that we might be working on things in our relationship and they don't always need looking at. Sometimes it's okay to have a break from that and just enjoy. And so yeah, there are many different ways how we get to take breaks from doing the emotional work. Very often emotions get triggered by events happening which are kind of outside of our control. But when we make sure that we have enough emotional rest, it could even be someone who really triggers you, who you find really challenging, like maybe a family member or something, to not spend as much time with them, to know that I can work on this relationship, I can work on myself and come together with them and know that I'm getting triggered and work through this, but not all the time. Also knowing that it's okay to slow down with that, to maybe take a break from seeing them. And when we then have these external things happening that are outside of our control, like a death of a loved one, or maybe you start getting into a really big argument with one of your loved ones, knowing that you have had the emotional rest in between means that you will be more replenished to be able to face this challenging emotional task with the best amount of energy and resilience available to you. So emotional rest is such a beautiful one that I feel so passionately about, because personally I have not been giving myself enough emotional rest in the past. Recently I have been really tapping into that, and it's been so beautiful to honor myself in that way and to know that I can rest emotionally and not do the work for once. And that will free up more energy for other things, including other emotional challenging things which will come in the future. So I really love this one. Then there is the mental rest. So being in the mind can feel so overwhelming sometimes because we have so much mental chatter. And I do believe that all these different types of rests are interlinked as well. So they do support each other, they lean on each other. So if we, for example, have a lot of emotional things going on that we're processing, it could also cause us to have more mental chatter. So then having the emotional rest or the mental rest can really support us in those times. So to me, mental rest really is about coming into stillness with the mind. And there are different ways that we can do this, and meditation is such a powerful and beautiful one. And even journaling can quiet the mind. You're just allowing your thoughts to come onto the paper. It kind of slows your thoughts down. And for me in winter, I really love doing puzzles, because puzzles are such a beautiful way to calm the mind, be really focused on one thing. You don't really have to think about anything. You don't have to figure anything out. You are figuring out which is the next piece, but you don't really have to use the mind in a big capacity to do that. So that feels like a really beautiful way to rest the mind also. And I'm sure there are so many other things. Physical exercise, when you're really into your workout, you're not really thinking about anything, you're just in the workout. And generally just focusing on one thing, being really into it, can be so relaxing for the mind and really replenishing. So that's a few ways that we get to rest our mind and allow ourselves to feel replenished in terms of our mental capacity. Then I would love to talk about social rest. And that is such a beautiful one that we get to honor too, because so much of the time, especially if we're living with somebody, and especially if that person is our partner, we get so used to spending lots of time with them, kind of always hanging out, being around, and that does take social energy. So if we don't give ourselves that alone time, because with our partners, we love being out with our partners, right? So sometimes it's easy to just fall into that kind of way where it's like, yeah, I love being with them. Why would I stop? Why would I have a break? Why would I go out and be alone? But after a while, that really wears us down. That really doesn't enable us to have as much energy available for other people, for ourselves, for whatever we want to be doing, because being around other people all the time does take energy. And when we are alone, we get to really just be fully with ourselves. We don't have to think about the other person. We don't have to take into account their feelings, what they need, and things like that. We don't have to come together with the other. We can just fully be ourselves, fully do what serves us the most in that moment. There is no compromising. We're just being ourselves. We can relax fully to an extent, because there's also a way that we can relax fully with our partner as well, or with others. But being alone is so important for this, and taking a walk out in nature and just being with nature and being able to hear what nature is saying to us, or being so in tune with nature that we can see those little things that we might have missed if we were going for a walk with another, like watching a bird flying, or being next to water and watching the bubbles, or watching the water flowing, or listening to the sounds. All of these different things that we often don't do when we are going for a walk with another. So walking in nature is such a beautiful way as well to be alone and to be really with nature, which I guess you aren't alone anymore, but you are, in a human sense, you're alone, and to really notice nature. So that's also a really lovely way that we can give ourselves the rest that we need socially, to then come back and come together with that person again and say, oh, I experienced this, and catch up and really enjoy each other's company again. And to also have that energy available for meeting up with other people as well. So that's how we can honor social rest. And then last but not least, we have spiritual rest. And for me, this was a little bit of a challenging one to really understand at first, because I feel like spiritual practices and being in tune with spirit is such a restful thing. And so, like I was saying earlier, meditation is such a great way to rest the mind, maybe even rest emotionally. You know, we're so just in that flow and in that kind of nothingness and feeling really great and recharging in a way. So for me, spiritual rest, I was kind of thinking, what is that? And at the end of the day, for me, and let me know in the comments below if you can think of something else, because I'd really love to hear more about how people interpret spiritual rest and what it might mean. So do let me know what you think about that. But what was coming up for me was that engaging with spiritual practices, it does also take energy. And even if it replenishes us on other levels, on some levels, it does use energy. We get to be disciplined or focused, or just really focusing our energy on one thing. Or yoga, for example, is to me a very spiritual practice, but we are also using physical energy as well to engage with yoga. So to me, it does still use energy to engage in spiritual practices. So we do get to honor as well that having breaks from doing those things like meditation, yoga, mindfulness, or whatever it may be, connecting with spirit, channeling, whatever your way of connecting with spirit or having spiritual practices may look like, having a break from them also frees up energy for other things. We can also then acknowledge that, we get to take a little break from that, and that will free up energy for this other thing. Maybe we've been neglecting cleaning our house, so we get to stop meditating every day for a week and really focus on cleaning the house or something. So there's definitely ways that we can honor ourselves in recognizing that taking a break from something will free up energy for another thing. And this is such an important lesson as well, because when we first start engaging with a new practice or whatever it may be, a physical practice, like working out or something, initially when we first realize how good it is for us, we think, oh, we have to do this every day, all the time. This is so good for me. I love it. I'm really benefiting from it. I get to do this every single day forever. And then we forget that we actually also have cycles and seasons. And again, this is more the feminine principle as well. So leaning into cycles and seasons means that we also are able to free up more energy for ourselves to get ready for the next season, for whatever's coming next. So for example, right now we are in December 2024, and as the year is wrapping up, we get to really honor what happened in the year, really look at what happened. For me, I have started doing my year-end review, which means looking through my journal and writing the themes of every month. And what I'm also going to do is write after every consolidation of the month. I'm also going to be writing what I'm celebrating for that month, so I can also really come into self-love and celebration of myself and what I have achieved and what I've overcome on each different level, whether it's emotional or in work or whatever the success may look like. And then what I love to do is contemplate what were those big themes of the year, what have I overcome, what do I feel like I'm really embodying now, and then by looking at the year and by reflecting and by checking in what is being embodied and what still wants to be shifted, what still wants to be worked on, we can then really move into the new year in the best way, because we can recognize where we are complete, what we have finished, what still gets to be worked on. And then by recognizing what is finished or what feels finished within us, what feels complete, we then get to free up that energy around that topic for the next things, for the new things that come to us. And one thing that I really recognized as well as I was contemplating all of these things was how we, in the cycle of maybe calling in something new in our life, we have these different phases. And so in the first phase, we have this desire coming up. I really want that thing. I really want to be able to show up for myself in a better way, or have better boundaries. I want to be more honest with myself. I want to feel like I'm not compromising myself on a deep level for another. I want to be honoring myself as best as I can all the time. That was really the theme for me of this year. And so we have the desire initially. We have this insight that this is something that I want for myself. This is something I want to embody. And then we get to learn about it, or we get to have experiences around that thing. We get to have maybe challenging experiences as well, painful experiences where we're recognizing that the fact that we aren't embodying that yet is actually painful to us. We're actually causing our own pain right now. And so we get to learn, we get to have experiences, and we get to then know where we are at with embodying this new way. And so then by knowing where we are at, we can then know, okay, what do I need to adjust? I've learned about it, I've been experiencing about it, I have awareness of this pattern within me. What do I get to adjust to now start moving towards not doing that thing anymore if you're letting something go, or embodying that thing more if it's something that you're calling in? And so then in that phase, it's the kind of uncomfortable phase where we start engaging with this new way of being, but we're not used to it yet. So then it's kind of painful and you're like, oh, I know this is good for me, but I feel really uncomfortable doing it. And then we get feedback from others, and very often it's positive feedback of us engaging with that new way, and then feeding back of, wow, I see you, that's amazing. Sometimes it'll still be negative because in the past we would have had negative responses, and that's why we would have engaged in that way of being from our childhood. So we will also have that, but that can kind of be a test of where we're at. Are we strong enough yet to engage with this new way and let go of that old way that we adopted from childhood? So we go through this kind of awkward phase of coming into it, but not really feeling comfortable yet. And the more we practice it, and the more we focus on the positive feedback that we get, and the more we also recognize the negative feedback and work with it, we can then really begin embodying it fully on a level that feels comfortable, that feels empowering, that feels really fun, and just feels more normal and comfortable within ourselves as well. And so that is kind of more towards the end of the cycle of whatever we're calling in. And then the real end to me is when we have the awareness and we recognize that there have been many, many things testing us. Like, are you ready yet to embody that new way? Are you ready yet? Are you doing it yet? And we come to the point where we're like, yeah, I'm doing it. It feels normal. And we can also ask ourselves, do I feel complete in this area? And we will have the wisdom within us to know whether there's still more active work to be done on it, more that we get to focus on, work on, wherever it may be, or whether we are actively done. We've done enough work. Now we just get to sit back and let it sink in. So again, this kind of masculine energy, do we still get to do something about it? Or are we ready for the feminine of taking a step back, of allowing it to sink in, of not having to do anything actively anymore, and really that allowing? So that's also such a beautiful way we get to free up energy to then move into the next cycle of whatever we're calling in, or whatever that may look like, and to have all that energy available to us to be able to then move into the next phase, or whatever it may be. So I hope this video was helpful, and do let me know in the comments below what resonated the most with you. And if you like this content, do subscribe to the channel. And I'm so honored to be sharing this path with you and sharing whatever is helpful for me with you. And I look forward to seeing you in the next video.